Welcome back to Big Content. It's a good week. We have a lot of questions. I have a lot of things to talk about. The spotlight is on you now.
Why? Because people said I was high as shit on the last one?
No. Well, that's another topic we can speak of. I think it was just the new relaxing environment.
The no headphones. Like
no
just
headphones.
Chilling. Kick the feet up.
Ooh, were those ones? Dunks?
I don't know.
They called? I don't know.
I have
either.
no clue.
I was hoping you were like,
I'm not a
I bought these for
sneakerhead.
$240.
Yeah, I'm not a sneakerhead, but I would like to be. It's interesting. This is not what this podcast is about. Are you interested though?
I feel like your take was going to be so stupid that it became interesting to me as you were talking about it.
I had a discussion with someone, and it was like, what is the new accessory the new male accessory? Because watches, a lot of people went to like an Apple Watch or one of those fucking Fitbit bullshits that track your sleep. If you're sleeping, you're sleeping. If you're not, you're not.
That's a bar.
So now it's like hat or shoes. When originally it was like, I think the statement piece was a watch. Everyone wore suits to the office, that whole thing. So I would like to potentially get a sneaker hat, but like it's expensive and I'm not really a showman. But
Here's
I think
the thing about becoming a sneakerhead. It's like one of those things I think you probably really need to be passionate about, right? or you need to focus on it to be like your main point of income. Like you don't learn anything to the depth of being a sneakerhead to the level that you need to without falling into one of those two categories. Like most things in life, I feel like if it's gonna be monetary or if it's gonna be like something that you're super knowledgeable about, you have to be passionate.
Well, you could collect, which is the passion, I guess.
Passion, yeah, or if you're doing it for money or a combination. But I feel like your back's got to be against the rope and you're like, I'm just gonna pick this and go all in on it. But I think the time that you'd have to invest to really become like part of the community without sounding like an idiot.
What about just wearing cool? Having shoes being
but
a
how do you know?
piece.
I think people would be able to tell. You know, when you're not really in it, you'll either like say or you'll wear things that like the real people know that's not actually that cool.
Right. That's like the trendy thing. That's not the real trendy.
The real ones will always know.
Yeah.
You know? So you're either real or you're not.
Yeah.
You got plastered on Twitter a little bit.
Wait, where?
See, this is so funny how you like. I don't think any negativity ever gets to your head. Okay, so last weekend, you and Casey went to 8 games or whatever.
Yeah.
And you took a video of a kid on what college team is it?
Fordham.
So there's a basketball player on Fordham. He's very small in stature.
Yeah.
Jack.
Well, he's listed at 5'11".
Okay. So he's probably, what is he, 5'8"?
Fake news.
5'8" maybe?
He looked like he was 5'4".
Okay. So we're doubling down on this. Jack took a video. That one was at MSG or Barclays?
That was at Barclays.
All right, so they're playing at Barclays, and this kid's like warming up, and Jack took the video, and he was basically like, I could have played D1. They were D1? Right?
Yeah.
I could have played D1, making fun of the kid being like, he's small, he's undersized, I could beat him in basketball. Yeah. And apparently he's like a high school legend.
Yeah.
So people on Twitter just tore you apart. They did say they were like, he scored 1,700 points in high school. I'm like, is that really?
It might have been 2,700. Let me break it down though. Yeah. So Fordham is up in the Bronx, which I didn't know about, and they were playing in Barclays. So they had a crazy crowd come out for the game. Also being in New York, tweeting about the Knicks, working with MSG, I've got a little bit of a New York following. Because of that, I've also got a tiny little, you need 1 or 2 people from Fordham to see it, then it spreads. So someone from Fordham found it. They start responding back. Then one of his teammates or one of the managers found it, and then he retweeted himself. So once he saw it, it got kind of thrown into. So then I'm seeing all these messages, and he's being like everyone's like, he would trash you. Now
people are upset.
Yeah, my fiance
is not even knowing how good you are at basketball, which is the best part. Yeah.
My fiance is from Long Island. I've played out with her dad, and the best kid at their high school played one. So I was pretty excited because where I played in Maryland, and I was a starter on a team that went 0-18 in conference. Now, in that conference, we played against Emmanuel Quickly. We played against like Phil Booth, who won a national championship at Villanova. Now, I was nowhere close to D1, but I've played real competition. Then when I played in Long Island at the park and the best kid came out and I was better than him, or maybe even as good as him, I was like, And then I started talking to people, and like Long Island basketball, certain parts is pretty bad. So then this kid was from a small school. I don't know if it was in PA or Long Island. I started looking at his clips, his highlight reel. He can shoot the shit out of the rock. Obviously, to make it to that level, you gotta be good at. But I still think he weighs 150 pounds. So
he's probably quick as fuck off the dribble.
Maybe, but also it's not like he started for Fordham, right? Like he could have been the last guy on the bench. Anyways, it turned into kind of like a not viral thing, but a mini viral thing. So I challenged him to a game one-on-one. So now that their season unfortunately ended, I'm going to play him in, hopefully a month or so.
Is that really going to happen, you think?
I think it actually will. So I found out after doing a little research,
Did you speak to him afterwards?
Yeah, I DM'd with him. Okay. I DM'd with him. And I meant obviously no hard feelings. I just thought it was funny.
I don't know.
Maybe, we'll see what happens.
I was ready to turn on you.
But he's actually a Barstool athlete.
Who isn't?
Exactly. The old Barstool athlete. So it'll be fun to hopefully play. If he smashes me, that I think it's a good moment for him. If he doesn't, I think it's an interesting moment because I have 4 years of eligibility left. So
Fordham might swap you out real quick.
Yeah, you never know how it could end up.
What are the odds you think after watching his highlights and getting? I mean, you saw him did he play at all?
He didn't play. Just in warm ups.
Sad. What do you give yourself a chance of winning? 30, 20?
Yeah, it's tough to say. I'm not a good one-on-one player. I'm more of a pass-first team guy below the rim, Russell Westbrook, obviously. But I'm much bigger than him. It's tough to gauge if I'll be able to guard him at all. Now, he's a shooter, right? So if he's making open threes, then he'll probably kill me. If he's not making open threes, then he'll probably have a tough time scoring because I can just lag off and be taller than him and bigger. People are probably listening is Jack 210? I'm 15 pounds bigger than him. It's
Jack's
not
6'6" for nothing.
So we'll see. It's interesting. I just
I would put him at a minus 1350.
What?
D1 player, dude.
I've played against my buddy who played D1 at Texas. He wasn't going full out, but
actually, that is a dumb fucking statement. But I've literally never seen either you guys play.
Right.
That was stupid.
Kicking field goals, though, I'm minus 1350 over you. That's
over him,
sure.
Yeah.
Over
for
you.
Sure,
over you. Over him for sure.
We need to find a football field ASAP in New York.
So it's funny, as we relate this back to the show, we're putting a lot of attention into YouTube, and this was not done intentionally, right? And a lot of this influencer boxing stuff is obviously all planned and coordinated. These fake beefs, I have zero beef with the kid. I just think it's actually an interesting case study. What's the average D1 player against the average YouTuber or the average fucking schmuck who has
probably
a Twitter
already have 10 different alternative titles for the video.
Exactly.
I challenged a D1 player to basketball and you won't believe the results.
Yeah. Thumbnail is him on LeBron's body dunking on me. So yeah, it'll be fun. We do have to make it happen. But yeah, low risk for me because I'm not labeled.
Yeah, it's all the risk is on him.
You want to know what it actually reminds me of, and it's my dream because I don't want to say I'm a big WNBA fan, but I highly suggest
runs in the family.
Casey's a big fan.
Dying for you to let him rip.
Yeah. But go to a WNBA game, you'll see how talented these people are. There's no doubt in my mind that 99% of the males or whatever percentage are more athletically gifted. They're faster, stronger. That's just genetics, but they're hyper talented. What this really needs to evolve into in my head is okay, what's the level of male basketball player that can beat a WNBA player? Put it up to the test.
I'm gonna say something right now. When I was this was my brain was at least 80% developed by the time I had this thought. I genuinely thought I could beat any college women's basketball player when I was in high school.
Right.
Which couldn't be further from the truth. There's 6'6" fucking centers at Stanford and whatever.
Yeah.
I was genuinely there ain't no way you're getting by me. I'm bodying you on the court, all this shit. And yeah, I just need to get that off.
And what percent developed are you now?
Brain wise, I went back.
Yeah,
I went backwards. Yeah,
so here's the reference points. There's this story about the U14 Dallas soccer team that beat the U.S. Women's World Cup team, right, in a scrimmage, 3 or 4-1. You can look it up, right? So you've got that point of reference.
Yikes.
Then you've also got you'll pull random college kids off the streets and have them manage, but also player manage and also play against the girls in college practice. And I'm sure there's guys who are better than the girls there. I also know Arike Ogunbowale, who's one of the top players in the WNBA. Her brother, Dare, is a running back on Houston. I've seen them play before. She cooks the fuck out of him. Like, she destroys him. So
and he's probably good at basketball.
Football players, whatever, but like, we're talking from a pure athlete standpoint. So I don't think that it necessarily depresses the women's game if they were to do this type of thing. I also understand the can of worms that it opens up. If
do what kind of thing?
Like, my end goal is not actual end goal, but like
to figure out some sort of scale.
Exactly. We
I think that'd be cool.
So that the conversation can stop and it can be reorchestrated to the girls' game is more fun because it is so much better from a team perspective. The shooting is dynamite. Like, they are lights out from shooting. Now, they're not dunking. They're not doing reverse, these crazy shit that John Morant's doing. But that doesn't mean that the men's game is necessarily better or that, like, all men can beat these girls. So that's what I would love to see. So I think this is like a little appetizer to the thought process behind how do we know, like, I saw a guy on YouTube.
Can a woman beat a demon?
Exactly.
Yeah, I just, it felt good to have the tables turned on you a little bit after the last like month or two of my life,
I'm constantly getting trolled on Twitter.
You know what's funny? Like, I don't even I guess it happens to you so often that I don't even notice it anymore.
Yeah, of course. Like, yesterday I put out a tweet like Jalen Hurts regression coming, Dallas Cowboys. That I was honestly a little bored, but like it could happen.
You are like kind of you do put shit out just for the reactions.
No, it depends. It depends. This wasn't for the reaction. I just, we were doing the video. It was a way to promo, like, posting every game. I saw that moment. You never know what happens.
Okay.
I enjoy how much you enjoy that.
I just thought it was funny because I saw it originally. Yeah. I didn't even think twice about it. I think I saw like Pete's comment and I kind of like chuckled and I was like, I wonder if Jack could actually beat the guy.
Yeah.
And then I saw your follow-up tweet that was like, I'm apologizing to the kid or whatever. I was like, some shit must have happened. Okay, switching gears. I wanted to. I've gotten on a call with I don't know if I want to call them a company. They're like a brother duo that they're developers and they've been building out some tools and some products and stuff that I came across like last week or 2 weeks ago, and I immediately reached out and I was like, that's something we could probably use.
Yep.
So as I've explained a few times kind of on air about the direction of BDG, we have like 3 main pillars. It is great fantasy content year-round, great products that service the people that watch that fantasy content, and then documenting us trying to build this whole thing out. And within that, I've never done a good job of like really bringing great products to light outside of, we do the same products year over year, but I've never really like built on it and been like, man, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to put out in the world and capitalized on it. Some of it is because projects that I want to overtake take a long ass time to build out. Some of it's just like, we don't have the money to put into developers to build out what I want. But as I'm thinking about our business and scaling the way we want to, there's always been like a few specific products that I'm like, man, I wish we had this out like 2-3 years ago. It would have been like a gold mine. And I came across a website that was built out by these brothers that basically have already built out exactly what I've been looking for. And on the top of the website literally was like a message written by the developer that says like, hey, I just got laid off of my job. If anyone's looking for a backend developer or freelance work or whatever, message me here or on Twitter. And I was like, oh, fuck, this feels like destiny because I love the site. And I was like, this is such a smooth product that I would love to add to our arsenal. So reached out to them. I've gotten on 2 calls with them. Now we're emailing back and forth about whether it's strategic partnership. It's a pretty basic fantasy tool at the moment. They have a couple tools on their website. When we got on the call with them yesterday, they were like, we had a VC approach us about investing into our company for a percentage of our company. And I was like, okay, they're starting to get the warranted attention. And originally when we
for them as developers or for that product?
That product, like that website,
got it.
Whatever the company is going to be called.
So they own that website as well.
They built the website. They've been building it for like 5 years pretty much. There's 2 brothers. One's an actual developer. One is a data engineer or something.
And why fantasy? Like they were building for someone else, or
they were building like they're interested in it themselves. So they were building out the product that I've always wanted, but I'm not nerdy enough to be able to build it out or like know the actual workings of how to build something like that out. But they got offered, so I'm like, okay, they're starting to get interest, and it was never like when I first got on the call, I was like, okay, maybe there could be something where there's like an acquisition, but also dealing with the developers, they make a lot of money. Like if they wanted to be like bought out, it'd probably have to be at a financial level where it's something we we can't afford. So we're thinking through different ways to partner with them. We're thinking through different ways to make this super convenient for both sides of it. And I think what we're walking through right now, and this is kind of just me just talking about the process, but I do want to turn it back to you in a sec. We're thinking like, I'm almost like consulting with them because they don't have any marketing experience in the fantasy space. I'm like, why don't you guys sell B2B? Like, this is a very cool product, a very cool suite. Have businesses like myself, creators, brands, or whatever, utilize your tools or suite, like have it a la carte, like as they want to use onto their website or whatever. We would use some of their tools, put it behind like our membership site and offer that to our audience. So it's like they already built it out and they have it available on their site, but like we already have the audience. So it's easy for us to distribute it that way. And we're thinking, a multitude of different ways. We have to finalize how we want to do this, but I'm thinking more and more about like snapback. And I think we should, one of our goals on this podcast should be to figure out how to productize something in your brand.
Yeah.
Because I think like the key to being a full-time creator, if we're trying to help people out here, sure, you can make enough money to be full-time through like sponsorships and partnerships and stuff. And you and I both have a very heavy reliance on those to keep us financially afloat. But I think the end goal for every creator should be build audience one, figure out how to have the audience go straight through you and not through these secondary markets, secondary websites in a sense. And we're financially well off enough at this point and big enough to the point where like we can think of acquisitions and we can start. You think of like Google, right? They acquire companies all the fucking time. It's like, oh, this small, tiny company in like Minnesota built out the infrastructure for this tool. We're not going to spend 6 months building it out internally. Let's just fucking buy them. And that becomes part of our infrastructure. And we're not
Are
like
you Google 2.0?
I mean, listen, ChatGPT got competition, bdge.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm thinking now. I'm like, we could, if we really want to start investing serious dollars, we could buy a company that already has the infrastructure built out for like draft boards and championship belts and trophies and shit like that. And that's how I'm thinking of productizing and stuff like that. My thing was like, I wanted to kind of flip it back to you and almost have this process be something that we talk about on the air and kind of figure out like where your head is at with that. Cause we've talked about it briefly before. And I know that's something that you want to do. I don't know how serious you've gotten into like thoughts or ideas or even conversations with your team internally. But again, I think it's helpful for creators because once you build the audience, your next thought process should be what's a product, what's a service, what's something I could provide my audience that I create, that I give to them. And it gives you flexibility to use it even as like partnerships. Like for us, we build out the draft guide. If we're working with the Prize Picks, it's easy for us to say, hey, if you sign up a Prize Picks, you get access to our draft guide for free. So it's like a low-hanging fruit for a lot of different things that put stuff in motion.
Yeah, I don't want to say you create value out of thin air, but that draft, right?
Yeah. Like the way like the gambling world is and how like the lifetime value of a customer.
Like right now with March Madness, we put up cash, right? But if you have a product, you could say, top 100 spots, get a draft guide. Top 5, get hats, whatever. So a couple of thoughts. One, product has been a huge chatting point with everyone I talk to right now, just from a general consensus. Like ads will obviously be there. Advertising for a media company will always be part of the revenue stream. It has to. But you want to get into products, right? That's where your margins can get higher. That's where you can grow and multiply. I have a call later today, actually, about with some other people talking about product. So that's part of it. Secondly is profitability versus just top line revenue. Like the last 2 years have been this mania of raise money, revenue, scale, growth, content, right? And now everyone I talk to is like, oh, we're probably going to like value companies on sound businesses, like making money, right? Which is great because we're a profitable company. And a place where you can make profit is on selling product, because a lot of the time, once you develop it, right, then you can sell into it and you don't constantly having to be spend on it. You got to market it, but if you already have audience, it's free marketing, right? Yeah, we're thinking a lot about products. Now, what do we do currently? The hats are products of sorts. Snapback Kitchen is a product, right? We went from we could advertise with Subway or Wendy's or McDonald's to now we can sell our own product. So we've got kind of those two things in development from a product standpoint. We are working on like a premium fan subscription for our Discord, which will include other things, and it needs to be valuable back. That's a product to a degree because we need to identify our top fans, offer them a paid community where they want to be with like-minded people, betting insights, kind of stuff like that. But do we have like a product Now we're a general sports brand, right? So that is tougher, and I appreciate you wanting to like actually spend time brainstorming and chatting through.
When it's a fun problem.
Yeah, when you're so broad, right?
It's a difficult spot that you guys are in because you're so general right now. It's not like us where we're so niche and we're teaching people about this very specific thing. So it's like easy
fantasy,
to understand.
Obviously, you build fantasy products. For us, we could go a million ways, right? Like Snapback Mondays, we could essentially build out a travel company or package, right? That like if people wanted to do it themselves or they like going with their friends, right? We could build that out as a company.
It's also like, you mean like almost partner with like an itinerary or
we like
grand scale. I mean, almost like having you could offer different packages where like if you could get in touch with, let's say you offered like a 2-game package and a 5-game package. And the 2 spots were your 2 favorite spots, wherever it was.
Right.
If you could partner with, your 2 favorite restaurants in those areas and your 2 favorite, I don't know, bars or whatever.
And that would just be like a events kind of travel company, right? And we could literally build that. There's so many ways to go, which is why it is very fun. Yeah. But it's a huge investment, right? It's almost like I see it trending on Twitter too. It's like buying a house or renting, right? And most people are like, buy the house. It's consistent. It's steady, and then renting, it's a lost cause. But there's a lot that goes into development and you essentially have to start a new company when you're building a product.
I also think like this should be a focus for you guys because you're kind of going down, you're starting almost 2 new journeys with the focus on the long form content on YouTube.
Yes.
And now you're diving into trying to be more product focused. Mm-hmm. Those 2 should work off of each other.
100%.
It should be like a reverse engineering game. Like,
100%.
Let's just not start a random product that we think we want. And if we do that, let's make sure the content directly links back to the product that you have.
I mean, we could start a sports book. Like that, right? Like that is.
I actually think, that would be like.
That's the most obvious product.
Perfect.
We could start a ticketing platform. Every partner we work with, we could build that product. Now,
100%.
You're just sports book. That's a different. Right?
It's such a grand scale that it's so hard to do those things. Whereas in fantasy, it's so much more minimal. It's like realistic for us.
Which is why partnering makes sense. But if our audience continues to grow and our fandom continues, and we get into long form, right? Then maybe a sports book, right? If we become the top YouTubers who do betting content, launching a sports book makes a lot of sense.
I was going to say, have you thought, I mean, maybe it's down the line, maybe it's in a year, 2 years, 3 years, but I almost feel like that would be a scenario in which like you might actually take investment money, be like partner with somebody who knows the space, and be like, hey, we're looking to raise $5-10 million specifically for this product or this venture.
Yeah, there's certain businesses that are almost like out of the realm, right? Where it's like, but Jake Paul did it, right? And that didn't even fully match what he does, in my opinion. But you look at McAfee, right? He's 4 years, he's making $40 million a year, so he's worth it to FanDuel. Now, if he started his own sports book, that could be worth $500 million, in a year. Yeah. But he's got to raise money. Like it becomes a whole thing, as opposed to there's probably other businesses that can be built. Like, Big Cat did it with the coffee. Portnoy did it with the brick watch. Like,
see the part of my cheesesteak.
Oh, you have it?
I'm saying,
the food
have you
truck,
seen?
They've
had the food truck.
I haven't seen. I saw a video of it. But those are all products, right? Mm-hmm. And then I think you see the risk of a Portnoy starting brick watch, thinking, and
that's why you made content needs to
right. You made a key point, which is like, don't force it. Once you get into this content, I could even see us building out and developing selfie sticks for vloggers, right? Like if people are like, hey, I love the way you guys shoot your videos and we're using the same thing. It's like, do we need to use Malfucco, whatever the tribe Manfrotto is? Or can we just build our own? So product 100% top of mind. Takes a while to develop, but like to give people an insight into the process of like getting the hats. Originally, we were just gonna get these hats, right? Someone prints on. I think Richardson's the brand on the back. Went to China. They've got a little bit of customizability. Yeah, customizability. And so Alex's brother Jake suggested if we could Velcro, like we're gonna create a little Velcro circle here, and we'll have interchangeable patches. So if you meet up with us at Bengals Browns, we'll have a patch for you. If you meet up, so we'll have Snapback Monday patches, we'll have employee patches, whatever. So it's almost like the profile picture phase in NFTs. It's like the hat is the look, but this kind of defines.
That's pretty cool.
And then eventually, hopefully, we can work with all the teams, and you can. That to me is at least a little bit of product development, and we've been going through that for the last month. It's a very simple product development, but yeah,
you have to start simple. That's a good thing. Like you get your 1 or 2 base products down, and then you could always develop.
Like Draft Guide is so easy for you. It's repeatable.
Add a new tool the following year.
Exactly.
If you want to add a different product, then you could upsell after the Draft Guide. Yeah, it's very basic building.
So are you going to tell us what the product is, or because you're kind of in that talking phase, they have interests, you don't want to reveal?
I actually,
or is it unimportant? It's just like,
no, it is important. I'd rather probably not talk about it openly often until like I feel like there's something secure and that we actually have it going right now. I actually talked about it in the last vlog that we put out for a while. Tony was filming me as I was on the website and fucking around with it. But speaking of that, we've had the camera going around here a lot now. We're vlogging a lot. So I've been thinking a lot about this office space and BDG as a whole and what I've always wanted to turn this space into. And from the start, it had nothing to do with fantasy football, nothing to do with sports. Yeah. People ask me, like, what's your 5-10-year plan? I don't think anyone actually expects an answer when you ask somebody that.
Really?
I don't think I've ever been like, do you have a 5-10-year plan? And someone been like, this is where I want. Yeah, like I don't.
Well, no. I think the person asking expects an answer, but the expectation is like no one actually.
Yeah,
creates
that's kind of what
plan.
I mean. Yeah. And I've had a very defined, probably 10-year plan of what I wanted this office to turn into. I want it to be a creative space, right? I'm sure I've talked to you about this before. Creative space open for anyone, no matter what level of creator you're at, to come in and have cameras, lights, mics, audio, computers, whatever you need in a spot, right? And I don't care if you're in sports. I don't care what like type of creator. You could be a fucking painter for all I care, right? That's the kind of creative space I want to build here. Not from like a business standpoint though, not from like a WeWork, like I'm going to charge you to come in, but not everybody's allowed. It would only be people within my network and people that I feel like would bring good energy into the space. That's obviously something that needs to happen naturally. That's going to happen over, 5-10 years. Even like having you in here often, just like doing it is like a beta version of hopefully something at scale. Yeah. I've been thinking more and more about this as I'm looking to bring on full-time fantasy creators. And I'm almost like, man, I feel like a good way to go about doing this and actually making conscious moves to make this happen is almost like starting an incubator within BDGE around fantasy football. So bringing in younger creators that are in the space, but they would be full-time employees of BDGE.
Interesting.
Right? It's like people who are starting to build their brand that already have a little mojo going. I'm going to say, hey, come work for BDG. You'll help make content for us and with us. You might, as I'm trying to like scale out a little bit of being the face of the fantasy content and bring other people on, bring these younger creators on who are passionate, who are hungry, that I know do the good work because they've been doing it already. Bring them on to make content, to make products. The products that we already make, they can start helping to take that stuff. And the pitch is almost like, the problem with this is like, I want to bring people on that are similar to me, right? Even if you're 60% of me, 70% of me in terms of like work ethic, charisma, being able to be on camera and do that, those people are hard to find because what I found is once you find the Nick wants to be Nick. Or the Nick wants to be his own thing. You know what I mean? Like you can't corral, because when I'm 21, there's no way you're corralling me into a full-time job at a business, So,
well, for a period of time.
And that's where like my pitch kind of comes in and say, listen, you come work with us, work in here for 2 to 3 years. Give me like 2 to 3 years of your best shit. I will teach you everything you need to know about becoming a full-time content creator. You're going to work with us, work for us, but we'll help you build your own personal brand. You'll be in front of our audience. I'll show you how to make products. I will show you how to get on calls with agencies and brands and partner and whatever it is. And us documenting everything going on is almost like a circular marketing recruiting tactic in a sense for that. Because a lot of people will see like, oh, like, I want to be in the fantasy space or whatever. I don't really know how to like be my own individual content creator. I'm like, not to be like narcissistic, but like who better to learn from within the space doing it than me? So it's like, if I find someone that I resonate with, it's like, come learn from me for a while, work for us for a little while. By the time you're fucking 25, 26, 27, I'll have taught you everything you need to know to be a full-time creator within the space. So it's almost like the idea of making this creative space probably needs to start from within. Like, where do I know every aspect of to a certainty that I could teach people from? And I think that will start to resonate when we have 6, 7 creators in here just like working off each other, doing a bunch of shit all the time, that resonates, I think, outwardly to other avenues, other industries, other whatever, right? It'll bring more people that want to be in that energetic space. And that's like what I want to create at the end of the day, is like be in a creative space that inspires everybody to be in, because I've been around a lot of people that are like that, and it always brings my A game out. So being surrounded by those types of people, I feel like would be cool. So when I wake up in 10 years, I'd love to like walk into an office space where it's just 30 people, 10 creators, 10 editors, 10 people fucking doing whatever they want to do, just hanging out, but like me just kind of dipping in and helping people where I can and with what I can.
I feel like that's kind of what Barstool did. They're like an incubator of sorts, right? They give you a full-time job. They let you kind of do whatever. Now, do they have like training, and do they get hands-on with Portnoy or their top creators? Probably not. But it is an incubator of sorts. You're going to learn from being there, and from what they document as well. Yeah. So it's definitely a concept that works. I think yours would be more hands-on, more... I
mean, this office is like you're on top of everybody all the time, basically.
Yeah. But in 10 years, I don't know if you'd want to be in here.
No.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think
10 years I'd like to be on the beach retired.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think it's an amazing idea. I think that we're big fans of collaboration, and getting people into an office is obviously huge for collaboration. So that's really like... The payment, right, has to be there. That's another thing. A lot of people, they want to kind of offer some of the things, but not all of them. And it's like, no, you got to give them an out, right? You got to give them training. You got to give them a full-time salary, and you got to give them opportunity. So
it's like
what's the business model, though? Like, if you're not charging them
same exact business
right?
model.
Like, are you just doing...
They're making content for us.
Right.
They're basically like not replacing.
Are they promoting products?
They're making our products, and they're promoting our products and stuff. So they're learning how to do products, how to market the products and stuff, but they're doing it under BDG, so that by the time...
And what if they like think of an idea or develop a product? You just let them run, or is that like your IP?
I haven't really thought that far ahead, honestly.
Like, you got to also to a line of...
My idea is so innocent that...
It's so vibey that nothing business-wise...
It'll be a vibe check at that point.
No, it's incubators. Look, they kind of border that line of predatory and extremely helpful, right? If you do them from the goodness of your heart, right? But then if you get to that scale, normally there's other people who are like, you got to make money doing this, right?
Yeah.
You building an incubator, you're building another product. And so now that product could bring in revenue, or it could bring in other opportunities for revenue.
For me, the way I thought about it was like, okay, I don't think anything in our model changes. I think it's still put out great fantasy content, put out great products within that fantasy content. And then it's like, if people want to build out their own personal brand or like products around that, they're free to do so. I don't know how often I allow them to be like promoting their product on our stuff, but it wouldn't be something I would like actively fight against, I don't think. Like, for instance, the kid Noah Hills, No More Parties, who does content on our channel now, our developer that I pay full time built his site for him. We're not getting any kickback on it.
Right.
I was just like, I want you to be happy at BDG because I know our audience likes you, and I want to work with you as often as I can. If this is one of the value props for you, like you don't know how to code shit, we have someone that I have on basically salary right now. I'll let him build it out for you. I'll help you promote your fucking website. Cool. Like, if that's what you want, give me 2 to 3 years of good ass content.
Right.
And like, that's you can't. They don't want to do anything else, so you can't force them to do shit that they don't want to do. I'm like, I want to find the best content creators, figure out what it is that they want, reverse engineer that, give it to them, and then basically squeeze out as much juice for both sides.
Do you think there's going to be too many content creators as we're all becoming content creators?
There will probably never be too many good ones.
Okay.
I almost feel like it will probably help the good ones stand out more.
Yeah.
Because there's probably going to be so many mediocre ones.
Yeah. But like, you're envisioning 10 people in New York in person, right? So that means how many fantasy creators are there out in the world? Like, how many are there right now?
I mean, a million.
Million.
But the people that I would bring on, it wouldn't be like, all right, I'm opening like applications. It would probably be like I'd pick and choose.
Of course. But I'm saying, like, how many? I mean, I'm thinking around the space right now. Yeah, there's probably 30, 50 people that like I even follow on Twitter.
Yeah, but even like the people I'm thinking of are not.
Yeah.
I'd rather like grab a kid who's like 22, you know, that has like somewhat of a following, but he's not like well known, that fits with our brand more so than having a following in the fucking fantasy community. I don't care about that, but it is interesting, I guess. I would pick and choose, and it wouldn't be something I'm like probably always actively looking on. Maybe it's like I have 2 or 3 at a time, and that's like how we operate. And if I'm like, our business is great, maybe some of them want to stay on for 10 years. Maybe some of them are like, I want to learn, but like also, you know, maybe I just want to be here for the long term. You know, maybe like they're like, I mean,
ESPN is full-time employees of 10 plus years. So
yeah. So I don't know. I was just kind of like thinking out loud. It's an idea that has been kind of creeping into my head more and more as we're looking at fantasy creators. And I'm like, a lot of the really good ones are just hard to reel in because they want to do their own thing. You know? So how do I try to figure out something that works for both sides?
Yeah, it's the same type of hire we're looking for right now. It's like someone to create content for us, be in our content, get paid full time, but also have goals and aspirations that learning from us and us. Would yours be a big focus on like, hey, we're going to put you on, or no? Because I think that's where it could get
Put you on? No, that wouldn't be my pitch. It would be like part of it. Like, hey, you're going to use our platform to build your own personal brand. But if we're going to talk about like what you're really going to get out of this outside of getting paid a fucking salary or whatever, which is like should already, if you're fucking young 20s and getting paid full time to do fantasy content, that should be a dub already. But it's more so like learning.
Dubs in the chat.
Learning from me and understanding how to operate yourself after. Having that knowledge, you know, you're going to build a personal brand, like regardless of whether or not, you know.
If you document everything in here, characters will come from
That's
that.
the other like beautiful part is like other people from the outside that are the best content creators that normally would be like, I want to do my own thing, might be like, man, I kind of want to be a part of that, even if it's just for a 2 or 4 year span of my younger, you know, my younger spot. So
okay, are we doing Q&A or you have more?
That was kind of all I had, I think, for right now. I'm down to going to Q&A.
Let's do it. Great action in the Discord.
A lot of action. Yeah, I posted everywhere. I threw it in all the Discords I had. I'll just rip this first question quickly. I don't even know how to say your name. Zotz, is that Verzi? Are you still keen on having your full-time employees being in office? If so, don't think that would hinder your ability to grow, especially when you're in an industry that's very easily remote? So I think we think of it like you guys think of me in the fantasy football industry. I think of us as in the creator industry. I've definitely gotten more open to the idea. You know, Noah, the other guy who puts out a lot of fantasy content on our channel, lives in Idaho. He doesn't want to move to New York. I like his content enough that I can forego that. It's not the direction I want to build in. As you can see, like the cycle I just kind of explained won't work if everybody's just remote all the time. Again, I want people in office. That's the way I could teach people how to understand this game. It's the way we could document the process of everything. So keen on it. I would think there are definitely spots like if we end up hiring another developer or getting outside work for that, very much open on that being someone not in the office. When we hired our first guy, Chris, I was very, very keen on making sure that person can be in the office so we could all work together. He's out in Brooklyn, so he can come into the office, and he usually does once a week, sometimes twice a week. There have been stretches for like a month or 2 at a time where he just like doesn't come into the office, and don't think it has really impacted our work. We get on calls 2 or 3 times a week, so it stays that. I think that was probably a little bit of a learning curve for me, but I think once we were getting grounded foundationally, I was like, I want to make sure I can have as much face-to-face and like understand people's energy as much as possible.
If you're, I mean, from an employer standpoint, maybe it's easier said than done, but from an employee standpoint, like if you like your job and the office is a good environment, like I prefer going into the office. Now, if it's Friday or I'm hungover or I don't feel well or I got to leave early for the airport, whatever, that flexibility I think should always be there. Like today, I had to be home for the couch getting delivered. That's nice. You don't need to be in every single second, but I do think the default should be in the office, especially in the content creation space. Yeah, just like being around people, you need energy. You just do.
It's like realistically, we could almost every job we have in here could be remote. But again, like that's just not what I want from a company. It's like my goal running this business is not to be like, let's produce the most volume of content that is edited. Like my goal is to do those things, but this other part of like having the people around is also literally like a goal of mine. It's also something that I want to be a part of the business. It's not the business I want if we don't actually have that stuff. Also, I think I said this too. I kind of regret not pushing more to have you guys in office, to like have you, when you were like looking for your apartment, being like, don't worry about the 2-bedroom, like literally pay me like $1,000 rent a month and you guys can work at it here because we have so much open space.
But if you're going to be here for 10 years,
I actually have to make a decision on this office space probably. We have a crazy, it's a 2-year lease with a 3-year option afterwards.
Oh, a 3-year
3-year. It's like 0 or 3. And I'm like, I can't do that shit right. D-Mel, what are the essential things a good podcast hosted by one person should have about it? Mine is about sports, and I try to have topics listed on screen. Be sure to tell the audience the plan and pick topics that can lead to debate and conversation. One-man show. I think the things you named, like the list, telling people what they're going to get, etc., is important. From my experience, I think genuine charisma is like the number one thing. Mm-hmm. I think if you do the work to make the content good, if you're energetic and you're like excited about showing up for it, that will translate into good content. Of course, you could always up the production. You could always, do those kind of things where it's like, oh, you know what, the retention's better in the first 5 seconds because we did this and now we have things on screen. I think you should be striving to work on those things. Those aren't things that I necessarily like really actively pay attention to. I mean, you do a lot of solo content on like TikTok. You do videos like that and stuff. What do you think of when you're like, I'm stepping on to the screen as a one-person thing? Is there like specific
solo content you got to create for the viewer? So whether that's a high dosage of like Q&A because you're answering their questions directly. I think just generally, like from what I've seen, is you got to be all in on it. Like you almost have to make it your personality. It's like, this is my show. I do this. My friends know I do this. My family knows I do this.
You have to be. And you have to be like, once you could do that, then it becomes you, and
exactly.
and then you could be like your genuine self on screen.
Right. And then everything relates back to the show. And I think it's what makes like someone that comes to mind is like part of my take, everything that happens in the sports world, they relate back to their podcast. They're doing a million other things, but like that's their thing. And so I just think that's like, for me, it's been problematic. Like I'm spread so thin. And so some things relate to this, some relate to this. And so I would suggest for a new creator who's doing solo stuff, make that show. It's your show. It's like Danny Miranda, who we talk about all the time. He does that. Like he does a newsletter, he does other shit, but like it's the Danny Miranda show. Everything
that's
relates.
His product.
That's his thing. I would say you got to make content for the viewer because it's a one-on-one thing. I wouldn't just like do hot takes to do hot takes. I would come at it from an angle.
You got to be yourself. I think that's the first thing. I think it's so easy to like immediately tell when people are just like putting on a weird act for content. For me, it's like the biggest turnoff. If I ever go through like a talking head video and it's just like someone that I'm like, this is like, you're not like this if I met you outside of this video, there's no chance I'm watching that shit. So the more comfortable you can get with that being, like you said, your life and something that you're 100% buying into, the more that's going to flow through your content. I think is a lot of the reason people like resonate with my content when I'm one-on-one and sitting there and talking for 30 minutes is because that if you had walked into that room, I'm not going to be any different on camera as I am off camera. And I think people really, that's going to be, the relationship people have with successful creators, I think, over the next 5-10 years.
Yep.
Kelsey asked, does your success change the way that you interact with everyday people? As in, do you turn normal interaction into networking? And also, does it ever cross your mind that certain people only interact with you because of your success? I almost feel like you could probably relate to this more so because you have a very big network. So you're meeting a lot of people that are successful or trying to be successful.
Alex, who's my business partner, business manager, he's like the god of networking. I kind of like let him do that. Now, I have learned over the years, and I'm fairly good at it, almost to where he's like, dude, you like need to go. For example, I had court access at the All-Star game, and like I've had Mark Cuban like on a podcast before. We've exchanged emails, from snapback to him. Not that he would necessarily know who I am. Alex was like, yo, go say what up. Say that you work with Underdog, which he's an investor in. And I'm like, it's just not like...
I would be the same way.
Yeah, it's just not... Like, I get it. There's nothing in that moment where he's going to be like, oh, great, here's $1 million. Or here's a connection. But it is good to show face. So I haven't really done that. I don't want to say networking's not genuine, but getting over this feeling of like... asking people for stuff or like having an angle versus just like a genuine interaction, which I genuinely believe if you are genuine and you're interested in someone, that something will develop from that.
So good example working off of you brought up Danny Miranda.
Yeah.
And the way I followed Danny on Twitter because he was This is when like NFT started popping off. He was working for Lucky Trader.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, cool. Like, cool company, young kid. He's like passionate, whatever.
Yeah.
Followed him on Twitter. We went to that creator startup house or whatever in Chelsea one day, and I recognized Danny just happened to have been there.
Yeah.
And I knew him, and I was like, cool. I just genuinely like connecting with other people that I feel like are creating or are passionate about things. So I think for me, when I'm looking at networking, I'm pretty intentional with networking,
right.
but I'm selective. I'm very selective with it. You know, I'm not like just trying to network with everybody, but it's almost like when I have my eyes or target set on somebody, I'm like, I want to become friends with that person.
Yeah.
I want to network with that person. It's almost like I do research beforehand to know that we'll be connected in some way.
Yeah.
Anyways, everyday interactions. Actually, so I was hanging out with a friend like last weekend or whatever, and they're moving to New York in like 2 weeks. They were like, one of the reasons I'm even moving to New York is because like Casey Neistat inspires the shit out of me. Like I love Casey's vlogs.
Yeah.
It makes me like fall in love with New York. And she had lived in New York.
It ain't that good.
She had I mean, I disagree. She had lived in New York for like a year for a few months last year or whatever. And she was like, I want to come back. And she was like, this just kept inspiring me to come back or whatever. She's like, I have this plan. Like, I'm going to go on the West Side Highway and run every day because I know that Casey does that or whatever. And I want to like just say what's up and I want to like talk to him. And she was kind of like in flux with how she would approach him about like, do I go up and ask for a picture? Because everybody asks for a picture. And I think once you do that, maybe the relationship changes a little bit. Do I go up and just like start talking to him? And I was like, honestly, being in New York and especially in this area or whatever, I've ran into probably like 80% of the creators that I follow at some point. Like Prez, just all these people that I'm like, I look up to. For me, the easiest thing in the world is just to go up and be like, yeah, I really admire your work. Like you've inspired me. You know what I mean? Like I really enjoy like this or this. You can get specific with it. And I think that's a really easy opener for it. I've never come across somebody that I've gone up and talked to in that vein and them being not receptive to it. You know, like all these people are super, super nice. And on the flip side, like you and I have had many people come up to us and, you know, said that they love what we're doing or like, oh, I know you from TikTok or YouTube or whatever. And I always try to keep the conversation going. Yeah. You know, even if they're like, oh, I love your shit. And there's like nothing after that. I'm always like, yeah, what's your name? Like, where are you from?
It starts becoming an interview on them because most people don't. So
it's like they're going to meet you once. You don't want them to be like, oh man, like, I don't know. Like,
no, but once they say they admire your work or I'm a big fan, they don't normally have much else to do. But like
I would never approach somebody unless I genuinely did, is what I'm saying. You know what
in your friend's case, is her goal not just to meet him, but like get a job, talk, like anything. Just talk. Because I think for some people, my advice would be you got to kind of gauge like where they're at in life, how many times this probably happened. But if you're only going to see that person once in New York, you do need to make that ask at that moment. But you got to do it the right way. You don't want to go up and be like, hey, can I have a job? But you want to be like, hey, I do this. You inspire me. You're awesome. What could I do? Like, what would your advice be to get in the door?
I don't think there's a world in which my first conversation with somebody also involved an ask. I think a first conversation.
No one's ever asked you, or you're saying you would never?
No. There's definitely people that have asked me for internships or whatever.
But like, all right, so if someone thought Nick Ercolano was awesome and wanted a job, I would walk up to you. I would say, yo, I love your work. I love how you express yourself through the vlogs. I know you're looking to do this in the future. I would love to do this. I could do this. Whatever. Can we stay in touch?
Yeah, that I could be like, yeah, you could email me. If you have any, you want to do this. Yeah. What have you done that lets me know that you're capable of doing this? Like that I will give you the chance to like present yourself, but 95% of people want to do a thing that they've never done.
Exactly.
And I'm like, that's fine.
They just want the job and then they'll figure it out.
Exactly. And I'm just like, we're never going to be looking for that.
Right. Which is why I always say, like, start the podcast, start the YouTube channel, because if we ever get to that point, like, you know, people, when we're trying to hire a video editor, are like, yeah, I haven't really done it. It's like, maybe you could do it, but I'm going to go with someone who has done it prior. So no one in my life, at least I think, is like trying to, you know, use me to get to someone or is trying, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happens in the future, but it definitely has not happened. And I'm not like big time enough that, like, you know, I wouldn't have a problem saying no, you know, if that were the case.
Yeah. Let's switch up the energy a little bit. What's your favorite, Smitty, Michael Smith? What's your favorite bar/tavern game?
Game.
Oh,
game. Shots. I honestly like. It's not. I've always wanted to be the guy who like walks downstairs to the local bar, knows the bartender. They know my drink. They know my order. I know the locals. I move so much. It's just never developed. Now we're in a multi-year lease. Maybe.
So what does that have to do with the game?
I'm just saying, like, I don't go to. Truthfully, when I go to bars, it's like to drink with my friends. We're not at like a tavern just playing. If I had to pick, what are the games?
Okay,
pool,
so I can give you
darts.
So I was at a bar.
Pool, darts, or what?
I was at. You ever been to Ace Bar in East Village? All right, Ace Bar has got like big open area where it has pool, darts,
like cornhole,
skee ball.
Okay, I love skee ball.
I've also. What's the game where you slide?
Yeah, that bullshit.
Yeah.
Curling on sand.
Yeah, you know what we did when we actually got there? We asked the bartender. This is weird. I've never done this before, and I wasn't the one who did this. But they asked the bartender for a deck of cards, and they have these big open tables, and we were playing. We were playing like Ride the Bus or whatever on the table. And actually, now I'm thinking
a drinking game or
a drinking game. But it was Montana who asked for the cards. Montana worked at Tailgate in Brooklyn. Tailgate's got some good games. Giant Jenga's fire.
I've never even seen that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so those are really fun
bathrooms,
games.
maybe?
No, they're like I think you might have to ask for them and they bring them out to the tables or something. But like any of the
I got you.
Bar tavern game. Yeah, I guess that's not necessarily a bar tavern game.
Yeah.
I don't know what other bar tavern.
Cornhole, like would you consider cornhole?
That's like a drinking game. Maybe is that a bar tavern game?
I mean, it's a game that you might play at an outdoor bar.
Are you good at cornhole?
I could probably go D1 in cornhole.
I'd probably go pro.
No, I'm not that good.
Yeah, I don't know if I love bar game, but I don't know. Like sometimes if you're out in like Austin or something, I feel like some of those bars have like awesome games. Any of the giant games will get me going.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to them. I just don't, unfortunately, find.
It's like you got no.
You know what you know what's interesting on this topic?
Not a fierce competitor.
I am a very fierce competitor, but I am thinking about quitting drinking. I don't know if quitting drinking is the right way. I'm thinking
is it because of last weekend.
No, well, partially. So all right, here's the chain of events. I go to Super Bowl. I threw up because I've been having this like esophageal issue. Okay. And I noticed when drinking, that's actually when it happens. It has something to do with chewing food, actually, not to do with the drinking. But coming off that, before I got checked out, I was just like, I'd watched a video of my friend who talked about like how not drinking, all this stuff. And then before I went to the doctor, I was just like, all right, I'm not going to drink this week. It's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then I went to NBA All-Star, which is a huge drinking weekend. Every party you're at is free drinks, all that stuff. And I was like, I don't know, like, do I need to drink? I'll put it to the test in like a real weekend when people are going out. And I didn't drink. I'm fine. You know, we networked. We were out late. It was perfectly fine. And I didn't feel the urge to drink. Then it was the second week going into vacation. So now I'm at like 2 weeks and our vacation's starting. And I was like, I don't feel better. I don't feel different. Like I'm not really getting the feeling that like I don't need to drink. But I'm also not craving to drink. So I don't know. So I finally got drunk and hungover and went out till 3 a.m. and it just ruined my Sunday. And now I'm like, I don't want to like make this grand statement that I'm quitting drinking, but I really just don't need a drink. But then there's moments where I'm like, I love to have a drink. So I'm really just I'm like, I don't know. It's socially like
This feels like you're just coming off of a lot of drinking and you're just like, it didn't feel like it benefited my life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still something you probably want. Yeah, I just wouldn't make a statement about it and just drink as much as you want. How often were you drinking? Let's rewind 3 months. Say you're in New York for 3 months in a row. How many nights a week are you drinking?
That's never happened. But Monday through Thursday, I do not drink. Okay. But then every once in a while, like if I go to a Knicks game on Tuesday, Wednesday night, I'm not having a drink. If we got dinner Thursday night, maybe I have a drink there. Friday and Saturday.
But just one drink. You're not like going out to get drunk.
Correct. I mean, but
You're just one drink.
it happens. It happens.
You didn't know how to answer that.
But then, like, I don't really brunch on Sundays and drink. Like, it's really, I know. It's really.
Wait. Where were you? Sorry.
I was at 12 Chairs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was we didn't drink. Like, but I was out all night the night before.
Oh, so that memo you fucking posted was non-alcoholic?
Oh, yeah. That was just an orange
Sad.
juice.
I was ready to pull up where you were.
I'm not drinking like many nights, but I'm drinking a lot maybe when I am drinking. It's like if I'm drinking, I might as well get hungover. So I don't know. It's just a thought that's out there off the bar tavern, especially as you talk about like efficiency in the workplace and efficiency of life. Like, you know, we work weekends, we work nights. I need sleep.
Yeah, I definitely forego a lot of drinking just for the sake of I'd rather feel better in the morning than.
And I don't know if I ever made that decision before.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually started making that decision consciously when I was probably like 22.
Yeah.
I
never did that.
I partied a lot. I probably started partying maybe when I was like 15, 16 in high school, all throughout high school, all throughout college. And then as soon as I got out of college is when I really started getting serious about this. And all the friends I had basically made up till that point were like, you're very typical, you know, let's go out and get blacked out on like Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
It's fun, man. It is.
I still love doing it from time to time, you know, and I've found that it actually like.
But now it's like a bad investment is how I think about it.
Not for me. It's gonna be personal for you.
It's fun, but
No. It like reinvigorates me. It like almost inspires me to a point because it's so opposite of what I'm doing work wise that sometimes it brings out, you know, things that either happened in the past or like things that you weren't thinking about or don't happen. Like you're not really having wild nights if you're not like drinking for the most part, right? And like a lot of that shit will happen and be like, that was funny. Like I wonder if we can work that into what we're doing over here, or I wonder if I want to do something that I thought of, you know, while I was doing this or whatever. Yeah. And maybe that's just like a lack of having good social norms without being able to drink kind of stuff. But that's the way I found my life. But I've been doing that very consciously since I was like early 20s. And
at like first on it was Sunday you were drinking.
Yeah. And that was the first time I day drank since like the World Cup when I saw you like fucking 4 months ago or whatever. I love day drinking. Like I'll do it this summer a lot. But I don't go out at night very often. Like I'll go out for like someone's birthday every once in a while. But like when you're not 24, 25, there's not a birthday every weekend in the city. You know, a lot of my friends don't live here. I'll go out and drink like if I'm going out with a girl or something, but like it's very pick and choosy, and I don't ever go out drinking for the sake of drinking. Right. Like if someone hits me up, it's like, it's Friday, let's go out drinking. I'm just like, it serves no purpose for me. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think it's good and bad for me. I still love going out and getting fucked up. Yeah. You know, but like I do understand what consequences come with it.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's just the perils of life.
Perils.
I don't even know what the fuck that means.
Perils of pale ale. Ooh, this is one I kind of almost want to. Here's a good one, Nick. Why don't you have an app for BDGE?
That feels like a long conversation on product.
It does feel like a long conversation on product. I almost feel like in order to create an app, you have to have like a very specific purpose behind it. Yeah. And if we were to create an app, it's like we have content on so many platforms. We have some products. We have sponsorships.
Like Matt Berry created an app, right? Fantasy Life. My feeling on this, because we get asked all the time, is, and this is the future, and I get inspired by it, and why I actually think that your incubator program, I wouldn't put them necessarily under the BDGE umbrella, is the decentralization of media. And like, I genuinely do not believe that Snapback has the best content, articles, analytics, numbers, data, picks, whatever it is, on every sport ever. So to consolidate into an app and to say, only look at us, only look at us, only look at us, and not look at Bleacher and Barstool and TNT and VSiN and Action Network, it just like, it doesn't feel smart to me. Yeah. So that's always been my opinion on an app.
We tried to make an app like 2 or 3 years ago, I think, and the only way we would even make an app is for a specific product. Like if we wanted to make the draft guide easier to use, more friendly on mobile, then we would do that. Yeah. But right now we've actually got it to a pretty good spot. But the only reason we would do it, is for that specific purpose, for ease of use for the customer. The apps always run smoother. But those, those are a big undertaking again, and then you need to hire someone that's like very specific to that type of coding, and it's this whole undertaking where it's like, is the delta between the way my product would run on mobile versus an actual app worth, the $50K investment and looking for the coder and all that kind of stuff. So it's like app, maybe that feels like a long term.
Do people want more apps? That's the thing.
Well, yeah, someone was asking, like, I've had people ask us over the years, like, you're going to make an app, but it's not anywhere to
But
the
are
point
they
where,
saying we want an app for this reason? I feel like
it's just like, do we have, is there like going to be an app for bdge? And it's just like, I don't even know what that means realistically. Will the NFL betting world ever be accessible in the UK? I can't use any better sites like PrizePicks or Underdog in the UK. There's probably a market for it now. There's a huge fan base here these days. I think this is a conversation that I'd almost want to have more research on to come in, like, maybe timeline or like why the UK doesn't have
I don't
it yet.
need to research. I'll tell you, yes, you guys will be able to bet on the, I mean, can they not bet on sports books, or they're saying they want to do it on the props? Maybe the markets.
Will the NFL betting world ever be accessible in the UK? I can't use any better sites like PrizePicks or Underdog in the UK. So maybe they can with sports books, but like PrizePicks and Underdog obviously operate differently.
Yeah.
But I almost think that would be a cool, this is the first time I'm kind of thinking of this way this entire episode, but that almost might be a cool clip to have for like TikTok, being like explaining why it's like you can gamble here, you can't gamble here, where it might be open and shit like that. But I don't know the info off the top of my head.
You'll be able to bet on the NFL.
If you become a fantasy creator and work on our incubator, you could bet in New York.
Yeah, that's true.
Open here. That's probably all the questions we had. Maybe more, but nice round hour, 7 minutes and 16 seconds. Just like we planned it. Anything else? Any parting words? You want to go get a drink?
Well, tomorrow, Thursday, is day one of the NCAA tournament. It is the least productive day in the business world. Would you have a drink on Thursday? Will you watch the games? Do you give a shit?
It's also St. Patty's, isn't it?
Yeah.
Damn.
I think Friday or
I won't probably match the fact that those things are going on to me drinking. Yeah. There are very random selective days where I'm just like, I might wake up tomorrow and be like, it's St. fucking Patty's Day. Like, let's go. I might just like be a shell in my apartment for the whole day. So that's kind of like pick and choose. St. Patty's Day is fun in the city, so it might be something I want to commit to. But I'm going out, like I already have plans Friday night, which is basically like
birthday or just a drink. Because you said
an album release party actually. So like, big time type beat over here. So that kind of like makes me not want to go out Thursday, Saturday. Yeah. Like I very rarely want to do like back-to-back shifts unless I know going into it. Like when we went to Penn State for the weekend, I'm like, all right, I'm going to be drunk for like 48, 72 straight hours. Yeah. I'm good to go. I just know it going in. But if I could choose not to do that, I will. Yeah. So Texas plays at like 7:30 tomorrow. So me and my friends were like, oh, what should we do for the game? And everyone's initial instinct is like, let's go to a bar, right? And we'll drink. And I'm like, it's a 2-hour game. Come to my apartment. We'll watch. We'll cheer. We can hear the sound. Like if people want to drink, they obviously can. And I'm like, do I want to drink? Like, I don't know. But yeah. You should get fucked up tomorrow. Okay. I'll let you know. All right. Join the Discord. Thumbs up. Subscribe. All that good shit. We're live, right? We're back. Some are saying we have more concurrent viewers than Pat McAfee. Yeah. 30-minute mark. You gotta remember to camera. Mine works. It doesn't turn off. We might have a different camera. That one's a 7R maybe. We have a few different super cheap one or something. Like you got a discount store down the road or something. It's more like photography focused. Oh, gotcha. But it just does everything. That's why you're wearing the hat for the thumb pictures. I already have to pee. That's not good. You can go. We're still in credit. It's on company time at this point. I don't want to waste this. That's true. Yeah, and my day rate. I mean, you take a piss. That's like 10 G's. Your big content rate is 0. It's literally negative. You need to be paying to be on my fucking channel right now.